Hello, random YouTube people. Are you tired of folding your towels every time you get out of the shower and only to find that the next time you go to use it, they're still wet? Follow me on this journey to see how I convert the towel rack into towel hooks. Stay tuned. Subscribe. Remember this awesome bathtub step that I created? Make sure you go watch the video for how I created this step. But now we are taken to a new bathroom dilemma, and that is the towel rack. You can see that it hangs two towels nice and straight, and it looks great, but this particular kind of rack doesn't dry very well. You can see the layers of the towel, they line up against each other, and the area inside, when it's wet and closed off like this, it doesn't dry very well. So what we're going to do is replace this whole towel rack with 3 individual towel hooks that you can hang the towels from. So let's go see what the towel rack looks like right now. We also have the same setup in our boys' bathroom. So this rod is the same thing, and it gets kind of close to the tile over here, but it's the same setup with the screws. I'm just going to take that off and remove the whole thing. Now, when choosing the particular kind of towel hooks, I wanted to make sure it looked the same or similar. So I found this brushed nickel towel hook that has a similar design as the towel rack that I already have. And I wanted to make sure it matched everything else too. You can see that in the shower, it kind of has a similar design, the brushed nickel, kind of like a dome that comes off. The faucets are the same. So I wanted to make sure that everything matched and looked good with my existing bathroom. So this is the towel rack. It's inside 2 different sections, and these are bolted to a stud. You can hear this one's on a stud. What about this one over here? Doesn't look like it. This one probably has some wall anchors, but to get these off, there's just a little screw. Let's see what kind it is. Yeah, that looks like a little flathead screwdriver. And it's only held on by 1 screw. Now to get those tiny little flathead screws off, I have this tiny little flathead screwdriver. You can see it can switch between a flathead and a Phillips head. This is really handy. I've loved using this on many projects, and I'll put a link in the description. So first things first, I'm going to stick the little screwdriver up the hole and undo the screw. There's only 1 screw for each of these. Now bear in mind, you do not need to loosen the screw all the way. You might lose it like I almost did. You just need to loosen it enough for you to be able to detach this little fixture from the wall. And the other side, and you'll notice that once you get to a certain point, especially if you're doing this one-handed like me, it's just gonna fall right off. Yeah, I really wouldn't recommend doing this one-handed and filming at the same time. That's what she said. Now we are left with 2 mounting brackets on the wall. Now to save myself some time in remeasuring and repairing the walls, I'm just going to use these 2 exact same locations for my towel hooks. Then I'm going to drop a 3rd towel hook dead center between the 2 of them. Now this is just a quick comparison between the old and the new towel hooks. You can see the new towel hooks have a smaller circumference, so I probably have to do some wall repair. We're going to see the ring from the old one because the new one's going to fit inside. We'll see. There's the ring I'm referring to, and we're not going to be able to use these old mounting brackets, unfortunately. These are going to have to come off. Enough talking, let's get these brackets off the wall. There's just 2 Phillips head screws. Let's pull them out. Behind the bracket, I find 2 wall anchors, so it's possible that this was not put on a stud or that they just did it this way to be extra secure. But we're going to try to reuse these with our new bracket. Hopefully the space is pretty close between them. And now on to our new towel hooks. This particular brand, Moen, has a mounting bracket attached to this little device that I'm holding in my hand. And you can see it's held on by an Allen head screw. So I'm going to take the Allen wrench that comes in the kit and undo it to release that wall bracket so we can put that on the wall first. Here I'm just lining up the new wall bracket, and I'm hoping that it lines up with the existing screws from the old wall bracket. And they are pretty close. I'm going to maybe have to come in at an angle with the screws, but this is looking like I'm not going to have to do much work, which is really awesome. These towel hooks are going to come with provided screws, so let's use those. Make sure you pay attention to the orientation that this is supposed to be on. There's a little arrow on the bracket that tells me to point this up. I'm just threading the new screws through the holes. Gonna line them up with the existing wall anchors. And I'm gonna start to drill it in and hope for the best. That's what she said. You really can't do any of these kind of house projects without that coming up all the time. See, there it is again. That's what she said. Now just hand tightening these screws with my Phillips head screwdriver, just to make sure that they're extra secure. Well, it's looking good so far, other than some obvious wall repair we'll have to fix. But I'm just gonna tighten up the Allen head screw to attach this towel hook to the wall bracket. Well, there we are. It's starting to look good. Let's just, for fun, do a little test and throw a towel on there. Looks good. Now on to the next towel hook. Of course, here we're just gonna repeat the exact same process, so I'm gonna go in fast forward mode. And there we are. Now we have 2 towel hooks instead of 1 towel rack. Now I could leave it just like this, but I think there's room for another towel, so I'm gonna throw a third one dead center in the middle. Now to do this pretty quickly, I'm going to take the wall hooks off the wall, off the mounting brackets, and then I'm going to use a level to connect between the existing wall brackets that are there. And I'll draw some straight lines so I know how high vertically this needs to go. And then the only measurement I'm going to do is the halfway between both brackets. So here are my 2 straight lines so I know how high vertically to put the mounting bracket. Now I'm just going to take my tape measure and hook it to one of the brackets and then go to the other side and get the halfway measurement. So from outside to outside, the measurement is 30 1/4 inches. So half of that is 15 1/8, or 15.125. So just gonna mark that on the wall. Now using those straight lines to hold up the new mounting bracket to make sure it's centered vertically, and then I'll go ahead and fill in with the pencil those circles on the mounting bracket so I know where to drill my holes. Now you're going to want to use a stud finder so you know if you're going to be drilling into another stud or if you need to use the included drywall brackets. Now if you need to use these included mounting brackets, you're going to pinch them together so you can stuff it through the hole, and then use this little red key to expand it once it's on the other side of the hole. Make sure you select a drill bit that's going to make a hole large enough for these drywall anchors to go through, but not too big. So now just getting out my drill so I can drill my new holes that I drew from the mounting bracket. And in my case, I am drilling straight into a stud, so I do not need those wall anchors, but I might need them in the other bathroom. Because we're drilling straight into a stud, I'm going to use a screw that's just a little bit longer for the middle towel rack. And then just repeat the process to install the third towel rack in the center. And this is why you don't screwdriver with one hand and hold the phone with the other to record. I just damaged the wall and I'm going to have to fix that. Now just lining up all 3 towel hook mounting brackets with the level, and it looks pretty good. Before I install the mounting bracket and repair the walls, I'm just going to go ahead and erase this line that I drew with a pencil eraser, and then I'm going to go back through with a hot rag to wipe off all the rest. Other than the obvious wall repair, this is looking great. Let's go ahead and go do the other bathroom first before we tackle the wall repair. Now here in the other bathroom, we're going to just repeat the exact same process. Go ahead and take the old towel rack off the wall and start adding the new towel hooks to the existing holes that are already there. And then we'll go ahead and measure halfway between and insert our wall anchors if we need them. And let's get to that point. Here I am just doing that quick technique where I measure the height and width of the existing wall brackets, and I'm measuring lines to get the height in the dead center between the 2 of them. Now in this bathroom, on this towel hook, for whatever reason, the distance between the 2 mounting brackets was about 1/8 of an inch wider than the others, so it puts it off center, and so it's not directly onto a stud, as you can hear. But of course, I'd recommend using a stud finder. I'm just doing it the lazy way here. There shouldn't be anything behind this wall, so I'm not too worried about it. Now in this case, because I did not drill straight into a stud, I am going to use those included wall anchors. So I'm going to make sure I drill a hole big enough for the wall anchor to be shoved through. And then once the hole is big enough, I'm going to just use a drill to widen it. I'll then pinch the wall anchor together. Then I can stuff it through the hole and then use that little red key to expand it on the other side of the wall before I start drilling my screws. Now that the wall anchors are all in place and engaged, we're going to mount the wall bracket and then of course just put on the towel hooks. Sweet! So this is what it's going to look like in the boys' bathroom. So now let's talk about the wall repair. To fix that hole I put in the wall and to try to fill in the ring around the mounting brackets, I'm going to use this small hole repair kit that I had for a previous project. We could also try to build up the paint around, which I'm going to try to do that in the boys' bathroom because it doesn't have as extensive of wall repair as needed. But here we're just going to wipe on some of this compound and then we're going to use a rag to wipe it back off a little bit and then go back through with some paint. Of course, you're going to want to let this dry for a little while before you go put paint on it. Now at my house I have some wall paint that was left over by the builders. Just going to stir this up a little bit and then put some on a paper plate to take it back up to the bathroom. Now I've learned that a little goes a long way in these small touch-up projects, so I really don't need this much paint, but I just wanted to illustrate that that's what I've done. So I'm just going to take the paint now and with a teeny small paintbrush and slowly paint it on and make sure that I wipe off any of the buildup so that it's nice and flat. And you may have to come back with a couple of coats, but you don't want to do too much because you don't want there to be a stark difference between the new paint and the old paint. I didn't take off the center wall bracket in this case, but you're going to want to let that dry before you put the wall mounting brackets back on. Now back over to the boys' bathroom. I'm not going to take the towel hooks off the wall. I'm just going to use this small paintbrush to try to fill in the curves of the mounting bracket that was there, just to try to build up the paint instead of going through the process of touching it up with a wall compound. This way is going to take a little bit more extra coats, but you do it to your liking, of course. Remembering, of course, that there's going to be towels that cover these for the most part, so a lot of times you're not even going to see those rings anyways. But if you want to do like resale value, go ahead and take the time to make it look great. Now back over to the master. The paint is dry, so I'm going to put the towel hooks back on. Now I might in the future take these back off and make the wall repair look even better, but for now this is going to be just fine for me. And there we go, I have the towel hooks back up on the wall. As you let the paint dry over a couple of hours, you won't even be able to notice in most cases that you did any touch up at all. You can see as I zoom in, you can see some issues as you get close, but overall you're not going to be able to tell, especially when there's towels on these towel hooks. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. Please remember to click that like button and click subscribe. Also, I've got some merch now. You can get some shirts like this on the links below this video. Go check it out and be sure to remember to subscribe. Subscribe.